Hi there, fellow roleplayers and game masters. My name is Mr. Trosk, and I fully admit that I have been ignoring downtime activities for most of my GMing career, especially the last 10 years or so with Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition, because I feel a lot of tabletop RPGs treat it as some kind of like afterthought. It's not like really an important aspect of the game or whatever, and I only really get into it when a player asks about it. If they have 2 weeks or 3 weeks to kill in a city or whatever, and they want to research something, that is when I grab the Players Handbook or whatever system I'm playing and I look into like the rules of downtime activities. And I admit I sometimes also just come up with my own simple version of that rule. I'm just like, yeah, spend this much coin and make this ability check and we'll see what comes out of that, which is also perfectly fine. But since I've been playing Tales of the Valiant by Kobold Press in the Ptolus campaign setting by Monty Cook Games, I find myself browsing through these books a lot because I'm still formulating like an educated opinion on this game. I absolutely love it. I don't really want to do like a review video of these books. I just want to make more of a string of videos about Tales of the Valiant, about different aspects of it and why I like it, and some things that I might like a little bit less and some things that I might like a lot. And the downtime activities in Tales of the Valiant are great. When I start reading them, I really felt like I wanted to send my players a message, be like, hey, here are the rules of downtime activities. If there's anything you want to do in and around the city, let me know. Now, the rules to the downtime activities of Tales of the Valiant aren't super different from the 5th edition rules. They are based on... the 5th edition rules are just like a block of text, and it's just not fun to read, and Tales of the Valiant, Kobold Press just does really good job on giving us straight examples and difficulty classes and costs to different types of downtime activities. And here they are, ladies and gentlemen, the downtime activities for Tales of the Valiant. Now, like I said, the rules per se aren't extremely different from 5th edition, from the 2014 5th edition Players Handbook. As a matter of fact, I really love the Players Handbook from 2014. I think it's a work of art, but the downtime activities in here are like 1 page or whatever, and they really suffer from the wall of text syndrome. It's just like a wall of text, and just not fun to use those downtime activities because you have to really search for what is what and what you want to do. And Kobold Press kind of uses those rules and makes it more approachable from a reader's standpoint. Also, they changed some things like the time some things take and the cost for some things, like that kind of specific stuff. They changed that over, but they also come with like examples of DCs, examples of costs, examples of time, and some crossovers between downtime activity, which I also really love. So I wanted to quickly go over this to kind of like show you and my thoughts on the downtime activities for Tales of the Valiant, because this really is, the way it's presented is really inviting for a game master like me to start using downtime activities more. Now, just as PCs rest to recover between encounters, they also need time between adventures to take care of themselves, pursue their interests, and work to maintain their lifestyles. So they talk about what downtime activities are. Basically, they are activities that do not necessarily that aren't activities that need the same kind of like zoomed in focus like an adventure in a dungeon crawl, but more like if your players are in a town for a month, a year, 2 years, 5 years, who knows, you might have like the end of a campaign, and then you want to go like a year later with the same characters, and you ask your characters, what have you been doing in that year, and they can do this downtime activity kind of roles, which kind of becomes a game within a game. That is what I love about it. So they talk about like what each downtime activity lists the minimum amount of downtime that must be spent to make significant progress. Typically, activities require at least 1 week of downtime, but some only require 1 or more days. They talk about what the cost is of that downtime activity and the resolution, which comes with rolling checks and then determining what the outcome of that check is or can be. They come with like really good examples, as opposed to the 2014 Players Handbook from Wizards of the Coast. There aren't really that good of examples in there, right? So there's a few downtime activities in here, and they explain what that can be, what that can look like, and I like that. Carousing, for example, is one. The other one is crafting, which is also interesting. It's kind of like, I hope the Game Master's Guide goes deeper into crafting, and they kind of talk about that here, that they will go deeper into crafting magic items in the Game Master's Guide, but I hope they will go even deeper into that, because the crafting, it's simple, it's understandable, but it's just, I don't know, it leaves a lot for like interpretation and imagination. Researching is one, and training, which can give you a new like proficiency or whatever, and working, right? So these are, working can make you some coin if you are out of coin. If you are an adventurer who's out of coin in a high fantasy adventure, you're kind of not doing good. I can just tell you that you're not doing good, right? So carousing is, you can spend downtime blowing off steam and making new friends. Enterprising characters can use carousing to make connections, gain favors, and forge friendships with people outside their adventuring party. To carouse, a PC must spend at least 1 week of downtime attending social events and gathering in a city or other densely populated area. The cost of carousing requires a PC to spend money based on the class of individuals they want to carouse with. Lower, middle, and upper class. Carousing with the upper class costs more than carousing with the lower class due to the higher cost of events, clothing, and food enjoyed by the wealthy. I really like that they go in there, right? So they have this this little thing here where it costs you 10 gold pieces per week to carouse with the lower class. You go to these lower class taverns, bars, whatever the lower class is in your campaign. With the middle class, it costs you 50 gold pieces because you want, like, maybe every now and then you want to drink a whiskey or a fine glass of wine or eat out a little bit more with like the right type of people. And then of course you have the upper class, which is 250 gold pieces per week. This type of carousing is for invitation-only soirees, hobnobbing with nobility, lavish consecutive dinners out, and other costly endeavors. Members of the upper class typically include nobles, celebrities, high priests, archmages, crime bosses, and generals. So, whatever your campaign is, it might be good to go suck up to the upper class, right? There might be like one noble you want to reach, but your GM kind of says like, okay, you can do that in your downtime, try to gain like an audience with that noble, but it will take you 3 weeks of upper class carousing, which will set you back 750 gold pieces. But if you make the right check, you can have that noble, you have that audience, and you can gain a favor from that noble, which could be a cool way, but do not underestimate the power of the lower class. Lower and middle class, or between lower and middle class, there are a lot of people that can also help you out, because many like mercenaries and thieves sneak around in their lower classes, and lower classes often know more about specific things, if you know what I mean. They're often more street smart and know like secret spots and hide places and that kind of stuff. So I really like that they put this like the 3 levels of class in here. And then you make, at the end of resolution, after each week spent carousing, a PC makes a charisma persuasion check or a similarly relevant ability check. So persuasion is the standard one, but it could also be performance. For example, you might not be super rich. You might only have 750 gold pieces and decide to spend that all on the carousing the upper class, right? You now have to act as if you are a upper class person, which is more like a performance check than a persuasion check, right? You start walking like the upper class and you kind of become this Bridgerton character, right? So you kind of fake it till you make it kind of deal, right? So that kind of becomes a performance check, also charisma, but performance check, which I think is a great way of looking at it as a game master. Like, okay, you're doing it like that, and it invites people to really role play, right? So carousing resolution, you get like a check result table. 1 to 5, lose a contact or a favor. 6 to 10, make no new contacts, contacts and gain no favors. Then you can make a contact and gain 1 favor, make 2 contacts and make 2 favors, make 3 contacts and gain 3 favors with existing contacts, or a combination of those options. And then they go into what a contact is and what a favor is. And then they go into favors by status. And this is why I like Tales of the Valiant downtime activities this better, because they give us tools and handles to grab onto in order to make this happen. Of course, there's still a lot of improvisation, still a lot of a lot of it is really down to your campaign, your specific campaign needs, but it gives you like a ramp to launch from, so to speak, right? For example, lower class can be track the comings and goings of an employer or other specific person. Ensure a particular door or window is left unlocked. That could be a good one, right? Kind of reminds me of like the first season of Prison Break, where the woman who works in the pharmacy has to like leave the door ajar, and that's how they get out. Somebody can be. This is a cool one. Some agree to become your regular instructor. See training activity. So this is the crossover I was talking about. The training talks about how you can get a proficiency at, I don't know, a skill or whatever, but you need a trainer to help you do that, and you can pay a trainer, or which takes time to find a trainer, pay that trainer, all that jazz, or you can get like a trainer via the Carousing downtime activity, which I like a lot. Then there is crafting. Crafting is super simple. You can craft any magic item in the original Players any regular item that isn't the magic item. In the Player's Handbook, it is 5 gold pieces per day. Your progress towards crafting items is measured in days of downtime. For each workday spent crafting, you can craft 1 item worth 10 gold pieces or multiple items worth a combined total of 10 gold pieces. In original 5th edition 2014, it's 5 gold pieces. So Kobold Press doubles that, which makes the math easier as well. So basically, if something costs 10 gold pieces in the players in like the items and equipments section, you can craft that in a day if you have the proper tools and you have the proper proficiency in that tool. You need to spend gold pieces worth half of the money that the item is worth, but you can, you know what I mean, right? If something costs 30 in the equipment section, you spend 3 days creating that. Those days do not need to be like subsequent with each other. You can leave like some breaks, but you need to correct tool. Now, something that I think is a shame is that there's place for a little table down here on page 237, Kobold Press, that just like gives us more like what kind of tool proficiency you need for what kind of work. I know you can find that in other parts of this book, but it would be really cool to have like a reminder there somehow. Maybe somebody wants to build a sword or whatever, they need these tools. They want to build a clock, a pocket watch, they need tinker tools. They want to build a gigantic cart for a horse to pull. They need wood carving tools. I don't know, whatever. They need a power drill and a chainsaw, not a chainsaw, an electric circle saw. Right. So you can also work together with some people for crafting, but basically crafting is super simple, super easy, barely an inconvenience. Researching is another interesting one. Now, there's something that I find hard to. So the time to conduct research, a PC must spend at least 1 week of downtime reading, studying, attending lectures, or conducting interviews where multiple sources of relevant information are found. Depending on what you're researching, where you go, maybe you go to a lecture to know more about space and time or infinities or whatever. Maybe you go to a library to study up on green dragons. You must spend a week, which is realistic. The cost of that is each week of downtime you spend researching, you must spend at least 50 gold pieces to cover expenses or more if the GM. I think 50 is really steep for this. I mean, aren't libraries, probably in a fantasy setting, libraries aren't free to attend or whatever, but 50 gold pieces, depending, I think that's way too expensive, but heck, that's what the rules say, so we're going with that for now. So at the end of each week spent researching, a PC makes an intelligence, arcana, history, nature, or religion check. Or again, up to the GM to change that to determine whenever they learn the clues. So basically, you can get no clue a dead end clue, 1 clue, 2 clue, or 3 clues. Really basic, but it gives us the proper tools to start off. The rest is improvisation. It is a game where the GM has a lot to say, so we can come up with our own things and our own clues, and that's what makes the game fun. But again, we have our handles and tools to do that. They also go deeper into like using clues. For example, if you find a clue in a creature, an item, or a place, for a creature, its immunities, vulnerabilities, resistances, that kind of stuff. The items can be like the last known location or the item's creator. Like the last known location isn't a clue to an item. That is just saying where it is. For me, the name of the item's creator is a clue, because then you can go to the library and research that creator, and you might find out via that clue where that item could be, right? That is a clue. Just giving its location is not a clue. That's just giving its location, right? Properties of a magic item or signs of its use. Places, directions, hazards of of places. Information on the customs of people in the area. So that's just giving us the proper tools, the proper little boxes that do that. Training. So, to begin training, you need a skilled and willing instructor who speaks your language and can teach you. The GM determines how long it takes to find an instructor and determines whether any ability check are required to convince the instructor to teach you. Note that the carousing downtime activity, that's the crossover I was talking about. So via the carousing downtime activity, you can also get yourself a trainer, and then you can go from the carousing downtime activity into the training downtime activity. Now, training something takes a heck of a lot of times. Training typically requires at least 50 weeks before mastering a new proficiency or talent. 50 weeks. Calculator, 50 weeks. 50 weeks. They say somewhere in this section that it is like a week is 5 days of 8 hours. So 8 times 5 is 40 hours a week spending. That times 50 is 2,000 hours. That's the 2,000 hours thing people on the internet always talk about if you want to master something. Well, mastering is not the right word because some stuff is just not masterable. But you can like become proficient at it. For example, the bass guitar. I consider myself an above average bassist. But I've spent at least 2,000 hours on that thing. At least. At the very, very least. So yeah, that kind of makes sense that it takes you 50 weeks. But, and this is the cool thing, you can make checks. So there's about the cost and the resolution. I really like this. At the end of each week, you make a training resolution roll, right? It's really cool because 1 to 5, you lose a week of progress. So let's say your GM says, yes, learning this will take you 50 weeks. They also can say like, you're learning how to ride a bike, that will only take you like a week or whatever. But let's say this takes you 50 weeks. We're learning how to play the bass guitar pretty damn well. 50 weeks, right? You roll a 1, it becomes, you lose a week. You lose a week. So basically, it stays at 50. That's how I interpret it, right? So it stays at 50. You just have spent a week, but you have spent it holding the bass guitar upside down, basically, right? So a 6 to 10, you make 1 week of progress. So now it's just like 49. But if you roll an 11 to 15, it goes from 50 to 48. If you roll a 16 to a 20, it goes just 47. And then if you roll a 21 or higher, you just have it. You just have the number of weeks remaining. So from 50 to 25, from 25 to 12 and a half, rounded down, it's 12, right? And then 6, and then 3, and then almost you're done, right? 1.5 to 1 week. So if you keep rolling really high, it could go much, much faster because it kind of represents a accidental, natural talent for something. Some people can just pick something up and learn that quicker than other people. But just nothing really determines why you are able to do that. But it is just how it is, right? And then there is working. Working is basically you can make some money of the site, and those are the downtime activities for Tales of the Valiant. In its most basic sense, they are almost completely the same as the 5th edition ones, but they are presented in a better way, they are balanced better, they give us more tools, more handles to like really create, to help us improvise over those handles, if that makes any sense. Until next video, bye-bye.